God, it brings back some good memories. John Metcalf.
That's right.
What's up, Jacksonville? Welcome back to another episode of 904 Unfiltered. I'm your host, Chip Davis. You can see Bob and I switch places. It's only right because Bob is more of the interviewer than me. And tonight's guest, we're going to talk. We got Mr. Chris Peterson in here with us.
What's going on?
What's happening? This has been one we've been talking about for a while. We're gonna get done with the music festival, which I knocked that out of the park on Saturday down at Palm Valley Outdoors. It was amazing. I want to thank everybody, all my volunteers, and all the bands that came down there and made it just an amazing. We had a great time. I mean, honestly, I mean, for being my first one, Bob, you thought it set up pretty well.
I mean, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
I would be curious to know, compared to the Flounder Pounder tournament, how's the amount of work? Is it more or less different?
The tournament's a lot more work.
Is it?
Yeah. This was a lot of like on this. I call it production. This one I trusted more people to work, but I needed stage manager, which I had the best. Jordy from Your Epic Vibes set the whole tent all up, and then David Plummer built the stage. And then, like I said, when I was out there, when after the stage was being built, that we had to wait on Friday for the farmers market to kind of get out of there around 2. So my guys were waiting. And the day before, Jordy looked at me and I just said, just do what you do, man. I don't have to be out here. He's like, what do you want? What do you want? I said, I don't care. I trust you so much. And then it just was perfect, man. I mean, and then we had the perfect amount of 10 by sponsor tents in there. So it flowed. Like we talked, the only thing that I would do differently, like when I did the one in December, is we'll have somebody out there cooking hamburgers and hot dogs. Yeah. Because to get food, like Bob's wife got hungry. It was like an hour and a half wait, man.
That was me that got hungry. She had a late lunch. She was fine. I was starving.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then you can smell the food, but the kitchen, I mean, they did, like I said, they did record sales. That was the most single day sales they've had down there since Paul Rahan's owned it.
What a hit.
That's yeah. Awesome. I mean, and you know what? We hired an off-duty police officer, St. Johns County. He was awesome, man. We didn't have any problems. The parking, which I was dreading the parking, it was busy, but people parked. Yeah. Nobody got towed. I think Bob said there was an accident, but I don't know if it's a young guy down there who was on a motorcycle on Solana Road that night.
When we left that night, it was blocked.
Yeah, it was. But overall, at a scale of 1 to 10, I'm just going to call it a 10.
That's awesome.
I mean, I don't
first one.
And not only that, the X factor was the weather. Okay, that's one thing that you're just not going to do with all the band equipment and everything out there. And when I started watching the 5-day forecast, like you guys are probably watching it for fishing, well, I started a 15-day forecast and it was like 40% chance of rain. And then as I got closer, things were looking good. We had the front on Monday and Tuesday. It was cold. And then Saturday came. We had guests. It was like 10 to 15 out of the west. But the weather was just, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. That's
always one of the key things that you're worried about is the weather, right?
There wasn't a cloud in the sky, man. And so it just made everybody's day better. So after that, now I told Bob the other day or yesterday, it's like, well, it looks like we got to really get on this podcast now. So we're gonna get back on track and start thumping it, which we had. We just had some mixture of different guests in here. Yeah. But like we got you in here. I want to get James in here from Egret.
Mm-hmm. Good guy.
I want to get Larry Binyard in here, Frank Gregg, Terry LeCall. I mean, we got at least 10 good ones that are going to come up. Now everything, now I'm not preoccupied with anything. It's time to do it. I'm ready.
Had some great guests already.
Yeah, we really have. And we're in our 16th episode.
It's crazy.
It's like, we've been really consistent. And once again, thanks to Andrew, our producer, for coming in and taking an hour a day, out of his time and knocking it out and just doing what we've asked. And but like Bob says, we can't do it without him.
Had a rare Andrew sighting at the festival.
Yeah,
they're running the drones. And
yeah, Andrew was out there kicking it with the drones, and he's got some video for me. I can't wait to see. But But anyhow, Bob, I'm going to go ahead and let you do the introduction.
Well,
Give a fishing forecast.
well, the report of the week was the Strike Zone tent sale.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to get by there, but I know it's always good.
I saw Mr. Peterson there spending some money, but you know, I worked, did offload on Tuesday and then worked Thursday and then packed up on Saturday. So I was there 3 times, but you can relate to this as a businessman. It's just cool to watch business happen.
Yeah.
And that's a big business.
Yeah,
but just like we were talking last week, you know, people don't realize it's a year round thing for those guys. They're working.
It really is.
But to see how it's executed, I mean, as a manufacturer, I'm like, you know, they really put a lot of thought into how far the tables are spaced apart, how many bins.
Yeah, how long? Yeah, and those guys work their asses off over there to get that shit ready.
A lot of work.
It's crazy.
You ever seen those guys come put the tents up?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, that's a whole nother. I watched them one time out there.
Yeah, but so that was fun. I don't know. It seemed very crowded. I think, you know, Thursday probably had more people than they're used to. Was what I understood, but I'm not privy to the number.
The line was. I mean, you would obviously.
Yeah.
The line was unreal.
And let me tell you what, the worst part of the whole thing on Thursday was it was so cold.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, the wind was galing, and
I was wearing some sports shoes with a mesh top, and I literally had to buy some pelagic boots.
Yeah,
because I was getting like cold.
At least you got a good deal on it.
I did get a good deal. $50.
Damn. He got just about everything you can ask him over there on sale. Did you find any mirror lures, anything in the bins?
Yeah, I got hold of some Husky jerks, got some mirror lures. I didn't really have I was hoping to spend more time, but when I'm there to work. Yeah. So I was staying busy.
Got some really cool older stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like he gets everything, man. I mean, you got a lot of the rod and reel combinations he has out there, and at least it didn't rain.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I had my eyes, I was in the apparel section. And there was a marsh wear shirt. It was like a camo, sort of a soft cotton, and I hung it up, and I'm like, I think I want that for myself. Yeah. And I turned my back, and some woman snagged it. I was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Still talking about it, 4 days later. So,
yeah, next time you got to grab it and just throw it behind you. Like, I'm hanging on this one for me, Dave.
But we got Chris here tonight, Chris Peterson. I'm excited for this one because I've fished with Chris before, and I'll tell you the same, like we always start the same way. I know you from the club.
Yep.
Florida Lure Anglers, shared a boat with you before. And just like, everybody I've shared a boat with that we've talked to, interviewed so far, you're the same one. You call it and it happens, and then I know you're the guy. So all day long we go fishing, what you say is going to happen happens, and so I was appreciative of that. But we always want to find out your roots and tell us where you're from, how you got into it, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up here in Jacksonville. I grew up on Silversmith Creek off of Pottsburg, so like way tucked back in there. And as a kid, I was 5 years old, 4 years old, out fishing off the back. And obviously, like we all know, the fishing was a lot different back then. Silversmith used to be a lot more freshwater than it is today. The springs have kind of dried up a lot. And, so as a kid, it was all bass fishing and brim fishing off the dock, and we pulled a lot of good fish. We pulled 8-pounders, when I was little. And then, as I started getting a little bit older, I had a canoe. It's about 6 years old. I would literally come home from school and I'd grab a peanut butter sandwich or whatever and a fishing rod and maybe my pellet rifle when I was a little bit older. And I was out in the canoe fishing back there in Silversmith until I had to come home, and so I grew up doing that and learned that, and then got a little bit older and started venturing out a little bit farther. And my dad got a John boat, and so I started taking it out into Pottsburg, and then from there, I kind of gave it up for a little while. I got into golf and hunting and then pool and playing pool and doing those things. And then, I came back to it in my later teens and, started bass fishing again. And then my cousin actually, lived at the beach, and he was, my uncle and him, were big inshore guys and mostly bait, And so I started bait fishing and out of a kayak, and then he had a little boat, and that's when I kind of got into it. And I actually, that was my first tournament fishing, was bait fishing tournaments. And I did fairly well. I won several bait fish tournaments. And then I think the first time I kind of ran into some of the club guys, and how I found out at the club was at the Blount Island tournament. I'd come out there with Malcolm, and I won it a couple times and started talking to the guys, and that's when I kind of transitioned, started learning about artificial and treating it like bass at first, and and got into it out of the kayak, and then and then kind of progressed from there, and then Malcolm introduced me to the club, and I remember, I'll never forget the first tournament he invited me to. His partner Rick at the time couldn't fish, and it was a post front winter tournament. I think it was like a 2 trout 1 red tournament or something, and it was blowing like 30. It was like 40 some degrees,
like today.
It was like similar to today, and I got one bite, and it wasn't a legal trout. And I looked at him in the day. I was like, nobody caught anything today. And we showed up to the scales, and everybody had sacks, and it was mind blowing to me at the time. But that's what hooked me. I've always been super competitive in everything I've done, and so I was determined to figure it out. And that's one of the things that I love about the club. What's so great about it is that there's a lot of guys, like we see them in the Wednesday nighters, that are stud redfish guys, or or this or that or whatever, and they come up and they come and compete in the tournament, and they get hammered, and
they get humbled quick.
They do, and it's and so that's what the club does. The club forces you to fish in all these adverse conditions, and for whatever species, and a lot of guys can go out, and catch them, on the right day, or the right species or whatever, but you got to do it now, and this is what you got to catch, and these are the conditions, and make it happen. And that's what is so cool about, one of the things that I really enjoy about it, is the grind and the competition, and having to perform under any conditions for whatever species it may be. And I love that about it. I love the competition.
Well, I know when we spent some time together, you told me you got the golf bug.
Yeah.
And you went hard on that.
Yeah.
And you started shooting pool, you went hard on that. So it's just like, did you play sports as a kid and things like that? You just always been very competitive?
Yeah, always been super competitive, me against the world. I've never honestly really liked team sports. I've always just loved that grind of, seeing what I'm made of and put myself to a test, and whether I had to whether it was outsmarting or outworking or whatever it was. I just always had that perspective that if I show up today and you beat me, if it's something that I want to do and I'm passionate about, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And, I may not be the absolute best, but you're going to know who I am.
Yeah.
And same thing so that's how it was with fishing. Once I got hooked in the club, I knew that, I was going to do whatever it took to figure it out. And, it took me a few years, but we got it done. We won the team of the year, and
that's the spread. That's the one everybody wants.
Yeah.
That's Bob. You leading it right now, Bob?
I am.
Yeah.
Oh shit, barely.
Yeah,
you gotta hope your boy comes through this weekend.
Oh yeah, better hope he does.
God, this Northeast 20 to 30.
I think it's going to back off it.
Are you sure?
Weekend. I don't know.
I looked at it today. I mean, I was looking at the local, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, we'll see.
Fingers crossed. It looks like it's been pushing out, and we're hopeful that it does. But if it doesn't,
Are you going to Steenhatchee Saturday?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
this weekend.
Yeah,
good. So me and you'll be over there missing the club.
Yeah,
and hopefully the wind will be down over there because you can't get out of it.
This one's saying 25 to 35.
All right, good for you. Maybe they'll cancel it, and then we can come back and fish.
Yeah,
that would be good.
I mean, that's completely offshore over there, right? In Steenhatchee.
Yeah.
It'll blow all the water out. There won't be a drop anywhere.
Yeah. But so that's kind of neat. So did you start fishing with Malcolm Griffith?
Yeah, that was
your partner.
Yeah, that was the first partner I had, and so I fished with him for a few years, and then COVID happened, and we had that year off or whatever, and then he moved on and decided not to fish anymore, and got a girlfriend, and we know how that works. And I started
disappeared.
He disappeared. It was like that guy in high school was your buddy you hung out with every day, and then all of a sudden you couldn't
gone.
be found, right? Gone. So,
you ain't going fishing this weekend.
That's it. Yeah. So I started fishing with my cousin, and he was at the time. We've grown up a little bit, and he spent a lot of time offshore and offshore fishing and tournament fishing offshore. So he was great at that. And he grew up bait fishing, and I got into the artificial thing, and so he's gets it, quote unquote, but it didn't really have even the experience that I had, and So it was a learning curve, and I spent a lot of time trying to dial that in. Like a lot of people, when you start, doing that, you want to explore. And so he was always, showing up with a new bait or this or that or something to try, which is great. You got to figure out, and everybody fishes differently. And you got to figure out what you're confident in and how you like to catch them. And so went through a lot of that, and we did well together. We grew and we did better and better and better. And then he moved away. And so me and Walt started fishing together. And me and Walt have known each other for 20 some years. We met in a pool hall when we were young. And, back then we hung out a little bit, we were all there together and hanging out and drinking, but we never really hung out outside of it. And he was actually the first person, that took me grass fishing, like flood tide fishing. And we had a blast. I loved it. And we both realized, I think, at that time that we both kind of knew what we were doing.
What year was that when y'all joined up?
Man, we joined up. We've been tournament fishing together now for probably 3 years.
Okay.
But we started fishing together, probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Were you with him when he caught that big trout? Or y'all you guys had already gone to artificial by then?
No, we
remember that one he said he caught it in that creek in Jack's Beach?
No. That was before me. He told me about.
He said it was about 9 pounds.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a picture of it. He caught it on. Said he caught it on a shrimp or something. It was like early on.
I think it was like a jerk bait or something like that.
Yeah, but he was like, Jesus, you should have seen that. Yeah. I can't believe I didn't get a picture of it.
Yeah, we actually second time we went to go. Actually, that was the first time. First time he was telling me about that story there, and he was like, "Let's go back to it. Let's go to the spot," And I had a John boat at the time, and my motor wouldn't start.
Oh shit!
So it was like the whole thing. So it ended up going, and then he got his first. He had an IPB, and we started fishing out of that, and and then went from there. And so I think we complement each other well. We both like to fish different baits, and fish a little bit differently, but we do a lot of the same things. But neither one of us is too proud to, we listen to each other. We always have a different plan, when we go out, but we always compromise, in trying to find a way to accomplish both of our goals, and have fun, together. So
you've seen that?
What's this?
That's a yellowmouth.
Is that a yellow? I thought it was a yellowmouth.
Captain Kirk caught it. So that just, those things get like 7-8 pounds up north.
Yeah, that's a tank.
And they're way more aggressive. They got a bad rap. The story behind that one, which I could never say on the air, but I have an old story about it. It was like, you spawn this yellowmouth trout, gets no respect,
right?
But it fights way harder than a speck. Yeah. You get you one about 2.5, 3 pounds, you think you got like a 5-6 pound trout.
Oh yeah.
And they're aggressive. I've caught them, and they seem like the spring times when I get the big ones when they're coming around.
So Chris, now, you and Malcolm, I'm going to talk a lot about the club because I feel like that, and you probably agree with me, that's the epitome for what we do.
Oh yeah.
I think, traveling around like we're doing, that's a different challenge and a fun challenge, but red fishing is red fishing.
Sure.
When you throw the trout and the flounder in, you elevate things a bit. So did you and Malcolm ever sniff team of the year, or you were just kind of in the middle of the pack? Because I know what I'm going to lead to is it ain't easy doing what you did.
Yeah. So no, me and Malcolm, I think, we got our first year, we were up there, in the middle of the pack, and struggling. And, I was a red fisherman, right? Mm-hmm. Just like, kind of like you're saying, and so I felt like I was strong in that category, but the trout and the flounder, I hadn't figured out how to pattern the bigger trout, and get that big fish, and definitely didn't know much about flounder at all. And you're absolutely right. I think that maybe a lot of people that don't know about the club or haven't fished the club don't realize how hard it is, and what the competition is in the club. And I feel similar, with the Wednesday Nighter, but it's obviously on a much smaller scale. The FLA is it's unbelievable how hard it is to be consistent with all of the different species in those conditions, especially against the guys that are in that club.
Yeah. And what I think, knowing you and Walt, the mental game is huge. Massive. For what you guys do. And I know you really, I think Walt, and I've spoken with him, and he was a little disappointed. He thought he was going to come in and light the world on fire. Yeah. And he got humbled. but then you guys put the effort in and you won team of the year. So talk about that run. I mean, you're building, because you've only fished with them, you said, for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So how did that come?
So, we both had our strengths and weaknesses, if you will. We started fishing together, and we knew, right off the rip, like you said, he definitely, coming into it, felt like, which like a lot of people do, feel like, if I don't know you, if you're not I'm going to beat you, or whatever it is. But he found out real quick, and just like I did, that it's not as easy as it seems, and it's very hard to be consistent with all 3 species throughout the season. And so, the first season we fished together, and we kind of, we just went out and fished, and we did a little bit of pre-planning, what we thought we were going to do, but then quickly realized our biggest weakness was flounder. And, so we had spent that year and the year before, winning, working really hard on the trout, and putting a lot of time and effort into not just fishing, because like you guys both know, catching those big trout, and having that big fish, you really have to not understand. It's not just about baits, or whatever. And you can randomly, anyone can randomly go out on a given day and catch a giant trout, but doing it right now, today, in these conditions, it's not easy. And you really have to understand how the fish are moving and what their patterns are going to be, and how the weather leading up to it has affected them, and where they're going to be today. Because especially in the club, a lot of the guys, they're good sticks, and they there's, there are going to be several people in the area because they figured out what area the majority of those fish are going to be in. And, there's X amount of spots, and trying to stay out of the way, or get there first and figure out with the trout, I may say, all right, well, these are the 3 or these are the 5 spots that I'm going to hit. But you've really got to think about what order you're going to run those in, and what the tide's going to be like, and what the conditions are going to be like in those areas that you want to fish, and make sure you have it right, and hope that you're not there at the wrong time and somebody else has, got there and they can't. Well, I've had that happen several times. There's one spot in particular I can think about that a lot of us knew about, and twice we missed it. We got there and somebody's literally pulling in and didn't leave, because they knew as soon as they leave.
Somebody else is going to pull right in there.
Well, we had that when Chip joined me in a place that maybe one that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And I think, Chip can relate. What I told him is when we were going out, because he hadn't fished tournament in probably 20 years.
Oh, at least. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's all about getting that limit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You want to, clear the limit, get it in, and then start calling.
Yeah.
Looking for it.
Is that your philosophy as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, it sounds easy. I remember Matt and Nate telling me, like, you just got to get your limit. You just got to get your limit. And that's easier said than done a lot of times, but yeah, we definitely, redfish, we were pretty confident in that we could go out and in any area, we have spots, and we understand them enough. We felt like anyway, that we could be consistent with those. It was the trout and the flounder that we really spent a lot of time, pre-fishing and learning, figuring out the patterns and how they're moving and what areas are going to have the most concentration. Because like you said, it's not always about having the biggest bag. It's getting your limit, and then trying to upgrade from there. And, in the beginning, there were several tournaments that, you got on a hot redfish bite, and you only had a 5.5 pounder or something. And you could spend another 2 or 3 hours there trying to upgrade that fish or whatever real easy. And in the blink of an eye, it's gone. And now you don't have your bag. And so I learned that very quick. That,
you got to learn how to pull off. You can't. The upgrade might not happen. You got to get a format. 2 trout and a red or something. You get that 5.5 pounder. It's hard to leave, and that's what you got to come back and get him if you can.
You got
to get his other 2 fish.
Adjust, adjust and get your bag, and then and then readjust. And what's my obviously the conditions are going to be different later on once you've gotten your bag. Let's say you went and got those 2 trout. And then, have your last minute spot that you're going to go and try and upgrade it, if you can, at the end or whatever. Hopefully, obviously, you get them quick and then you can shift over to that. But it was definitely a lot of work, a lot of pre-planning, and a lot of, learning and watching the pattern. And there's so many different things that go into this, to be, and it's just like any sport, the difference is so small at the top that you really, the nuances matter, and watching the weather and the salinity of the water and the clarity of the water and how the weather leading up to it's changed. And you know, and just checking, not so much catching the fish, but just checking that they're there, they haven't moved. And if they did, where did they move to? Where are their staging areas? If they're going to drop down because of whatever condition, you know, what are their secondary staging areas and where are they going to be, you know? And so that's what we spend a lot of time doing and trying to figure out so that we could be consistent. You know, and going out and practicing in the worst conditions and learning to enjoy that grind and figuring out what they're doing and how to catch them, you know, when it's blowing, it's a post front, a bluebird sky, it's, you know, whatever, you know, it's rained a ton for 3 days and now it's clear and calm, and, you know, and how to approach it in those different conditions.
A lot of that comes with time on the water.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I mean, the years of experience and kind of like knowing where the fish will be this certain time of the year, or, you know, what you're looking for, the clean water, you know, looking for, you know, the wind, which way the wind is, the moon has, I mean, there's certain moons I just don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the new moon at all.
Yeah.
The new moon is just, it just doesn't, I mean, it's always like, you know, but they'll, on the fish things, which they'll not, you know, which I don't always go by, but I like to see. Yeah. It's like, fishing's going to be great. I'm like, that's bullshit. I mean, I like the full moon, you know, I like the spring one. I look at the full moon for the next 2 months. It's always 3 to 4 days for me. And I told Walt that. Because y'all had that one run there in the spring where Walt was he was like an animal, dude. I think he had like 3 8-pounders.
Yeah,
he went, and you know what's so crazy is, and this was a year, I mean, this was even before you guys I was getting a random message, you know, in my Instagram message, and it was Walt. And he's like, how you getting those big trout, man? Because he was all, you know, but I was, and I wasn't like, you know, you're not going to just tell him everything. I said, you know, rocks and docks and, you know, here's a lure I would throw and all that. And then next thing I know, he's got an 8-pounder, man. And then he just like he had one of those runs like I had like 25 years ago where like I could do no wrong with just getting big trout. But one thing, you know, Walt is a really good friend of mine and touching about tournament fishing. But the one thing Walt was saying, and I told him, is like, you want that signature win, man. Yeah. You want that. You need to have that big win on the tour. You know, one of the Redfish series. I mean, that's get the monkey off your back, and that's what you're. You know, that's because you've already knocked it out of the park here. And now, whether if you win on the road or not, the road always gives you an extra bonus because that's a road win. But just to win one of those, come to town and all that, walk away with after 90 boats. Yeah, that's a big one.
That's really and that's kind of what we've switched over to is, you know, we got the FLA thing done. We've done really well in the Wednesday nighters and you know, we got that big sack last year and you know, and so now it's, you know, we've had several top 10s and we've had just, you know, a lot of people say it, you know, whatever, but even just this last tournament, I would say that 95% of the tournaments that we fished in, we found the fish, you know, which is a lot of it, you know, but getting the right two. And I feel like, you know, you got to have a little bit of luck on your side, you know, but finding the fish and patterning them to win in one, you got to get those 2 right bites. And, you know, like this last one we just fished, you know, first 15 minutes of the tournament, we had a 6 3/4, you know, 6 7/8, you know, fish right off the bat. We had 10 or 15 tailing, you know, spread out. We caught that fish. As soon as we hooked that fish, they all disappeared. And, you know, and so it happens, you know, it's fishing. And, you know, we were excited, but I literally told Walt right after we put him in the live well, I said, let's not get excited. Had this happen before, you know, let's stick our head back down and let's get back to work, you know, and it was a few hours before we got back into it. We, you know, moved and we figured out a pattern and we caught fish the rest of the day. And matter of fact, we actually we got into a trout bite at one spot, and we caught at least 15 over 4 pounds.
Yeah,
and
wow!
It was one spot, which is I've never done, you know, and a little bit different over there, but it was awesome. And we caught a lot of redfish for the rest of the day. We just couldn't get that.
And this is the last one, Steen Hatch.
Yeah, this is the last one. You know, the powerful one in there, and Walt hooked one, a good one. You know, 6+ pound fish. He fought it. He started running around the back of the boat. You know, so I said, go to the back if you need, you know, and I was right there with him, got about 10 feet from the boat, and it changed directions and pulled the hook, you know, and it's just how it happens sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Do you find yourself like getting in your head a little bit, like it's been a kind of, I mean, you know what I mean? Like the drive back, you know, it's always a long drive back when you don't get them, but then sometimes, I mean, you know, you'll be like, fuck, I don't want to do this no more. No, you feel like it's like, I mean, I wouldn't say, well, not that you wouldn't want it, but I mean, you start questioning yourself. You're like, well, how much longer are we going to be able to until we get one. We got to get a win. You got to get that win.
Yeah, we definitely. We're running hard at that.
I mean,
wins, but
all the things have to come together. I mean, you got Big Show Bob over there, man. He's knocking them back at his age, but he's like, he had the day of perfect, man. I mean,
but I don't. I've never been one that I don't set my goal to win, and people look at me like I've got a third eyeball right here when I say that. I'm like, but I look at consistency to me is important, and I look at let me be in the 90th percentile. Yeah. If there's 100 boats and I'm in the top 10, that's because you got to get
everything's got to come together with the skill these guys have.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do no wrong in it. I mean,
put 90 boats out there, and in these tournaments, nobody's. I don't think that anybody is paying what it costs to fish these tournaments, so they don't think they have a chance.
Right.
I mean, these guys are they're all good sticks in their own right. In one way or the other, and but it's it definitely all has to come together. It just has to be your day to get those two. But I don't ever get discouraged in it. It just drives me more.
Makes you hungrier.
It makes me hungrier. Yeah. I mean, it just fires me up. And like I said, I feel like, and we'll see what happens, but I feel like, we're due. We consistently get on the right fish, and, it's just the tournament blues sometimes. We say that like any other day, we would be stoked about the day that we had out there. We caught 20 plus redfish, all these trout, these oversized, and had the looks. We had the fish in front of us, and, things happen, but can always, make it, can always be a banner day, but it just drives me to want to do it more.
Yeah, I agree. I think you should be learning something every time out, good, bad, or indifferent, and like I said, like when we were at Steen Hedgie last week, we learned where not to fish on, day before, and went a different direction, had some success, not a lot of success, but, if I go out on the road and get a limit, I'm kind of happy usually. Because you down at Punta Gorda, that was horrific.
That was brutal. That was a tough tournament. Same thing though, we'd never fished there before. And we went out and we had 2 areas that we watched studs, and we didn't cast at them much. I'm not a big fan of beating the fish up, especially in an area that I don't know and I don't have 18 spots to go to. We found the right fish and they just would not eat. I mean, we tried everything, and it seemed like, and after talking to you, after the tournament and a few of the other guys that we're buddies with, it was, they wanted something specific, and the areas that we were in were not that. Mm-hmm. And we heard a lot of that, and so, we caught fish, but, after moving, so it was tough, but, you had a great, run there at the end, and caught some good fish.
It was like you said, it was like, if it hadn't been a tournament, you're down there, catching snook and trout and everything that swims, it would be a great day. But, when you've got one that's just under 27 inches and you put a 4 or 5 pounder with it, like, damn, we've done that so many times, Jamie and I, it's just like you say, it's like how can, you got a school swimming around with 20 or 30 fish and how come the 5 pounder eats it and the 7 pounder doesn't?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. I can count on one hand. I think when we won the flounder pounder, that was one where it fell together as planned. When you and I fished, it fell together as planned. Sometimes it happens, but most of the time for Jamie and I or Chuck and I, it's just a grind. Yeah. It is just a friggin' grind.
I feel the same way. I don't feel like any of it's come easy to me, and every once in a while, everything just comes together, but for the most part, it's a grind.
Yeah. We had it come together. Did you fish any of the extreme redfishes back in the day? That was a live bait, and Chuck and I had a pretty good run on those. But if you put a crab out there,
he's not turning his nose up to that old crab.
We would, high tide fish with lures, and then when the tide would get low, we would use crabs. And that's really an example. If you've found the fish, they're not going to refuse that.
Right.
So it's pretty easy, but different game on lures, different game on the road. Outside of FLA, what other wins have you guys had or accomplishments you're proud of
in the fishing world? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the first one that kind of got me going excited, I fished with Malcolm and a spot I've been working on, and we fished an IFA. I think it was maybe the second to last, or it was 111 boats.
Mm-hmm. Which one is that?
Redfish Tour.
The IFA.
Oh, the IFA. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
And I remember we had we had 7th place in the tournament and 3rd Calcutta, and that was like probably the 2nd or 3rd maybe pro tournament that I'd fished, and so I was happy about that. It got me fired up. And actually, I got DQ'd from that. Malcolm, he always had some beer on the boat, and I was new to the game and didn't know, and so we got DQ'd from that, which is what it is.
Yeah, it is
learning curve, So that, and then I'm proud of a lot of them, and mostly it's just the consistency is what gets me fired up. We don't have the big win, but we've had several close ones. We almost won the Florida Redfish Series, the championship a couple of years ago in Steinhatchee. Came very close to that, got top 10 in that, and we've had at least, and I would say probably, if I had to guess just percentage wise, probably 40% of them, top 10s, and the rest of them, whatever happened, but, those are probably, I mean, and I've won, a bunch of bait tournaments, and but now, none of those, I've never really, there's not like a goal to, I would love team of the year rather than a win. A win would be awesome. I need that win. I feel like we're kind of due for it. We're close, we get close so many times that it's going to happen eventually. Our goal now was, we want to go to Louisiana. We want to do that. Haven't done that yet. So we want to do that and, go for, a team of the year in Florida first, in FRS and trying to get that accomplished. That's not easy, that's, so, don't know if that'll happen, but we're darn sure going to try,
Well, there's a couple of teams. I'm with you. That's what our goal was, is we want to make top 5.
Yeah.
And we came close last year. We blew it in Steinhatchee. And we're knocking on the door this year, but there's a couple of guys that you're going to have a hard time beating that are very consistent, so that's, and the thing for us is after taking off a lot of years, we used to be pretty well dialed in when we were traveling around. So you can build up a little backlog of spots. Like you could go to Steinhatchee now, it's almost like home for you. You've been so many times.
Yeah, right.
But when we go to Panacea, that might be your first time there. It's a different animal. Now we went last year, so I've got 3 or 4 spots from last year. So let's build on that and get 3 or 4 more this year.
Yep.
And if we can stay away from the kayakers, we may have a shot, but those kind of waters in Panama City is just a blast.
Yeah.
Because you can find Jacksonville grass there. You can find Mosquito Lagoon style
Isn't that
grass.
where Everett moved to? Panama City?
Yeah. But it's it can get crowded there too. We got burned out by the kayaks last year. But we love going there because we went there and fished on the IFA before. We did it for the precursor to the power pole when Kent was running that. I can't remember what it was called. But we went over there and cashed some checks.
Yeah.
But to me, I always see you up there getting a check. And that to me is like the consistency is what fires me up, and you'll get over the hump eventually. It's just got to happen.
Yeah, we're going to start, we've talked about it, just because we've kind of moved on, to the, the FRS and the other, that start spending more time in the areas, and there's areas that we're not familiar with, so we can start patterning and learning those, and so we can be consistent, and this year was just hey, let's go do it and see what happens, and just go explore these new areas and kind of test the waters and see what it's like, and then, go back and start building on, what we learned, and then, the other thing is, something that I've talked to you about before, and we talked about it, is that I really feel like there's a lot of room, and it would be awesome to have a bigger inshore tour here, kind of like, we're starting to build the Wednesday night tour, and we kind of talked about expanding off of the FLA or something, or doing our own, and some of the big tournaments that were here are gone now. And
Chip.
So,
well, I mean,
don't retire, buddy.
No, that triple challenge was fun, but coming back with the trout regulations now.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Bob, I was like, we need to do like a go live triple challenge.
Yeah, we're gonna come up with something.
Because that makes it where the trout doesn't go away. You can use it now.
I've recently spent, I had several calls, spent a lot of time talking with FWC. We talked to them at the club, with the biologist and the officers there, and then actually. This last week, I was on the phone with the director of the committee for the state of Florida out of Tallahassee, and talking to him about the trout and trying to come up with some creative solutions, and what they're going to allow and what the time periods on making something happen is. And he was honestly a really, really nice guy and very receptive to it. And in the conversation, talked about and referenced the numbers and what we have
Mhm.
here, and was not opposed at all to listening and considering, doing some over slot coil stuff at some point. So I'll be in touch with him for
Nice.
sure and trying to make something happen on that.
And I'm going to move into Wednesday nighters in a minute, but the last thing I want to talk about tournament fishing is I know you're kind of an equipment junkie.
Yeah.
And you're not going to scrimp on anything. Probably tell me your philosophy on that. I mean, obviously you're going to buy the best, and that's kind of, I know you talked about that when you did your seminar at the club. So expand on that for everybody out here tonight.
Yeah. So I really, I mean, especially in the tournament, the tournament scene, to me, and I think we all kind of agree, it's just as much a mental game as it is, everything else. And, for me, my ADD or whatever it is, just, having the rods that are, they're more lightweight, they're more reactive, they're more sensitive. To me, all of those things matter, especially if I'm, in a lure tournament, like Steenhatchee, for example. If I'm making, 1,000, 2,000, however many casts, a day, if I've got a heavier rod that doesn't react right, or, I don't like, at the end of the day, I start getting tired, my wrist is tired, I'm working a Mirrodine or a topwater, or whatever it is, and just making all those casts, it helps me stay in it, and make me want to cast more and, work my lures the right way, and such. And then the other thing is, as much as we fish, the rods, I've fished a lot of different brands of rods, and there's a lot of them out there that have a good action or a good blank or whatever, but the guides aren't great, and they break. Or I fished the rod for 8 months and I snap a rod, and the warranty's not great, and I spent $150 or $200 or whatever it is on that rod, and now I got to buy another one. And I got to a point where it's like, well, how long am I going to do that and just keep buying rods and buying rods and buying rods? And when I could, spend a little bit more money, over here, and have the warranty, where it's getting replaced, and be able to perform better, out there on the water and stay in it longer. And the same thing with the reels, and having I've tried.
What's your favorite rod?
Yeah. So right now, everything I fish is G Loomis. I feel like it's
NRX.
NRX pluses, or I had a few different ones, but mostly NRX pluses.
Who broke Walt's rods?
I did.
I got the call that day. You're like, "Can you get in touch with Dufek?"
Yeah, we were out on his boat, and I needed I brought, when I fish on his, I just bring a little, a bag of what I know I'm going to use, and his latches, he doesn't have the actuators on him, so that you have to open them completely or they fall. And so his rods, he had his extra rods laying down there, and I opened the hatch, and they got about 2/3 of the way, and he's got these little, hatch locks on it, and it just slipped out of my hand, and it just guillotined three.
How many you break? I think it was three.
Three of them. Yeah, Woo! 3 NRXs. Just
damn.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story you'll get a kick out of. Is like the first time I took my wife on the boat when we were dating. I'm like, let's go. We're up in Mill Cove fishing back when Mill Cove was like on fire. And you remember Wingo had the hookup with Fenwick, and they came out with those Tech AVs, which was like the highest end shit you could get at the time,
right.
$300 that, that's back in, 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And just same as you, the Hughes had 2 hatches on the front, and the rods were laid there, and she slammed the hatch on there and snapped 2 of them off, this far back from the tip, which renders them useless. Sometimes I'll I break a rod. Well, that became a dock rod.
Right,
just put a tip top on it and you're good to go. And I just didn't say a thing. And she had no idea. And, years later, I'm like, that was like a $500 date, $600 date.
Yeah, I took a buddy of mine, Terry, I took him out fishing. We were tarpon fishing, and we were out, and I ended up anchoring up after a while, and had a expensive rod and reel combo, and I told him, I said, there's only two rules on my boat. Don't hook the captain, and if you drop one of those rods in the water, you go in after it. And he dropped it in, and he jumped out after the rod, and he had it in his hand when he came up, but then he freaked out because the current, whatever, and he kind of went back down and came up without the rod, and it was like reaching for his hand, and then I was like, I pulled my hand, I was like
Well, I mean, so we know you're dialed in on your equipment, but tell us about that badass new boat you're driving.
Man. Yeah, I fished a Maverick, a few different, ones for about 6 years, and I love that boat. I bought it because I felt like it was the most versatile boat. I could get skinny. I could, it had it handled the weight, and chop and stuff, well, and had it. And then I made the decision when we decided to start fishing abroad, if you will. It would be nice to have a technical skiff and a bigger boat that we could run big water with, and in longer distances, etc. And I went back and forth and and what I wanted, and I decided on the Mamba, and as soon as I sold my boat, I had instant seller's remorse, like every guy coming from a smaller boat, does. I was like, man, what did I just do?
Getting used to a new boat and everything. And it's a lot of,
But I will tell you, that boat has been amazing. It's done everything. I can go anywhere the trolling motor goes. It eats the chop. And we were talking about down in Punta Gorda, ran that bay at a good solid, I would say, 2.5 foot chop that morning. Ran straight across the middle of the bay at 65. Didn't get a drop of water on us. Super comfortable. Literally let go of the steering wheel, grabbed my water, and took a drink of water running that fast. It's got those, the shock seats in it, and it's been a great boat. It runs, I've had it 78, and I'm about to, do some work to it, and such, but it's super comfortable, super easy to drive and run, and done everything. I guess has a ton of storage. The live well is amazing. It scratches a little bit easier than a Maverick, but aside from that, it's been great.
Sweet.
Love it.
Now, Chip, I don't know. Did you ever fish Wednesday nighters back in the day?
I haven't fished a Wednesday nighter, but I had the opportunity. Not
back in the day. You never did.
Maybe I did. I think I did it. Yeah, a couple times I did because it's been around. But I went out there this past year and watched them, and it was run really tight. You run a good show out there. The way they get in there. Walt and Chris still get to fish, and then they come right back, get everything set up, and then the Palms is a really cool little place.
Let's talk about I've touched on this before, I think, on our very first episode, but the Wednesday Nighters were started by Scott Aston, who ran the Inshore Fishing Tour, which was a slam series that Chip won one year, Team of the Year, which was our thing back then. We had come from the Triple Challenges, and then that was a tour, and then it turned into redfish tours. We had a lot of redfish tours local, and so to your point, it would be nice to get back to a slam series, which is what the club was. But the Wednesday Nighters was Scott Aston's. He's like, guys want a little more something midweek, kind of break things off. He'd run like every couple of weeks. You know
why he did that, right? Because of the whiteys. He used to fish the bass ones down there.
Okay, yeah.
And Scott had a bass history.
Yeah. So,
because they got the working man down there on Thursday night or Thursday, whatever.
I heard that went away.
Did it? I don't know, but that's what we learned. But yeah, it's a great thing because these guys get out, they get fired up all day. I got to leave work early. It might hurt them on that, but you get them out there and they get 3 hours.
Yeah, roughly 3 hours. There's nothing like it in my opinion.
Well, it's a lot of pressure.
Well, you get a taste, but what he did is, so he ran them, and I remember, there was a lot of heavy hitters that would go, but I was starting the t-shirt business at the time, so this was I learned to fish really after work.
Yeah.
So that was my wheelhouse, and I won a lot of them. I put a lot of cash in my pocket. I remember probably the best one I had is one time in Mill Cove right at the end of the night. I got like a 7-pound trout under the bridge, and I already had like a 7-pound red fishing by myself because I fish a lot of them solo.
Yeah.
Hard time getting people to come. But I'm trying to think, and you may be able to fill me in. It's sort of for a while, whoever was there at the ramp to take the money, and it was not organized. And then Fred Gray kind of did, and he was doing one on Saturday before the lure club started. I think I ran them for a while, just being the guy that would collect the money and have the scales. But when did you take it over?
Yeah, so I started fishing them, I don't know.
Who was running it when you, was it still like just freelance?
It was pretty much freelance when I first started. It was somebody different, most weeks.
Every week.
Yeah. And then I remember Bill, started running for a little bit, and then it was Chad, and then it was just kind of a mix, and so I got involved with it because one night I think Chad asked Malcolm, and I was fishing with Malcolm at the time. I asked Malcolm, "Hey man, could you help us out, with it?" So then we started helping, and then but there was no. Half the times we'd show up, at that point, it had kind of gotten to, because there was no consistency with it, there would be 9 people one week or 7 people, and then it would be 13 or 14. And it was like, think it was like $10 to fish it or something, at the time. And it was like 20, or something.
It was usually 25 per person.
Yeah.
So 2-man team would be 50.
Back then it was like $20.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was like, maybe it's changed.
No, it went down.
I wasn't.
We had it up for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't, been around obviously as long as and but it just kind of got frustrating because I loved it and it was a great midweek break, and the whole thing. And I was so excited. And then you'd show up and it was like, all right, we got 9, boats or whatever.
5 sometimes.
Yeah, it was like, man, are we even?
You might get 50. You might get 50 on this first one in April.
Yeah, we might. It's I'm expecting a lot, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, that's what happened. So I kind of started helping out with it with Malcolm, and then Malcolm kind of fell out, and Chad fell out, and me and Malcolm were running it, just kind of took it over from there, and then. A little while into it, I was like, hey, let's bump it up a little bit, the money, side of it, and I think a lot more people would be more interested in that, and then it kind of just slowly, I never really had anything more in mind, that, and then, Malcolm fell off, and my cousin, it was me and Dan, and Dan was helping me out with it. And, he's actually the one that was like, dude, I'm going to start posting it on some of these Jack's Fishing Report, et cetera. And that, alone, they started getting more. And then we started posting the results, and then when that happened, we kind of ran into some issues, and we had to make some changes. And so we found a home, and
what was the issues you ran into?
We ran into some issues with the boat ramps, and that whole deal, and the city, et cetera, and whatever. And so, we started looking for a place, and we Palms has been amazing, and taking us in there, and they love it, we love it, and I feel like it's a great home. And we were talking about earlier, maybe Palms, with Ponte Vedra, we'd love to go back down there. And there's a lot of places and people that things that we'd love to do.
Might flip one down to PBO for a Wednesday nighter.
Oh, we used to go down there. We used to rotate it.
Yeah. And then they got 2 ramps down there now. They got an East Bank and a West Bank. So. One thing about the Palms, if you're putting in there, it's freaking do or die. You got an outgoing tide, man. Put in there. Whew, that's a rough one. Yeah. And I've watched over there when we did the trout tournament when Craig Van Brockland did them, and we were in. I think me and Lenny got 3rd one year, but I remember it was like first the outgoing, and it was like a full moon tide, and I'd never really seen it since the Palms have been there. I watched 2 or 3 people divorce at the boat ramp, man. They're like, the wife's like, we're never doing this shit ever again. Yeah. And I said, let me just back the trailer down. And, everyone's like clapping, woo, do it again. And he'd come bouncing. It was like ping pong. Bumper pull. But other than that, if you don't there's certain tides you can miss it. Yeah. But moving it down to PBO, just maybe for one, would be give it a little change. You probably even draw more. You might draw some people from
there's a lot of people,
South Ponte Vedra or South Jacks Beach.
Yeah, a lot of people, loved it, and us included.
That'd be a hell of a split. You'd have to fish to the south or not come very far north, which is 3 hours.
That's one thing. Like in the FLA, we when they have
a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah. Even maybe we'll explore that later on. In boundaries and stuff and whatever. But so. We just kind of started growing it, from there and then adding things to it. And it's, I think a lot of people, I don't know, the guys that fish it understand it, but a lot of people that don't fish it or don't, it's always been 100% volunteers. Yeah. It's been around forever. And I've done, I donated, I bought, the pro tournament scales and all the equipment and all the stuff. And I'm donating. I'm the biggest donor this year, sponsoring, putting money towards it. I'll probably lose money this season.
Yeah, but you're going to see some of these guys might, step up and give you a couple, just to help. If you want to have a championship or something like that, there's things you want to dice it up maybe with a plaque or something. You don't want to pay everything out of your pocket.
Well, no, for sure. And this year, it's the first year that we had a few people approach and said they wanted to, hey man, do you have any, can we sponsor this? So we started thinking about it and talking about it. And so this year is, and I think is going to be amazing. We've got several people that have come together, and we have this year. The difference, we're gonna have a banner that's going to be up there. Bob's helping us out with that, and
well, you do a good job with the live feed.
Yeah, we have the live feed up there. We now have an app that we're using to input, tournament directors app that we're inputting everything into. So we're going to be able to, and everyone else will be able to, that's fishing it, you'll be able to see where you are and a points race for the year. And, so we're going to have team of the years, and we're going to have payouts and prizes and such for that. We're going to have a championship and payouts and prizes and such for that. It's 100% plus, with all the sponsor stuff, donate, payout on everything. So it's going to be huge. And then we have a lot of people that have come forward, and we have gear, and lures and different things, and that people are going to be, donating to it, which is awesome. And the other thing, we were talking about a minute ago, the trout. Now that the trout, it used to be, there was kind of a separation. You see everybody who comes out, and I've seen it won by a guy in a John boat with one 18-inch trout, with 20 some boats win it, so you never know with that tournament.
Oh yeah. It's still going to go. It's just you better get a fat one,
Yeah. Now, that separation from the guys that went out, knew how to catch those big trout is gone.
Yeah. Now they might have to get a bigger red.
Right. So it's definitely, it's going
to be kind of fun to watch, with the restriction.
Your point. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've won the Wednesday nighter with just having two.
Right.
Because two beats one, right?
Yeah.
So you always got to weigh in Wednesday nighter, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's hard to pattern a pattern in 3 hours or 3.5, 4 hours, however long you're out there till it's you got to just go and get on it.
Yeah.
That's very tough. And now the way the points are going to work is, just for a quick example, it's 100 points. So let's say there's 30 teams. Say, 10 teams weigh in, it's decrements of 5. So first place, 195 and so on. Let's say last place gets 55 points. Every other team that bought into the tournament will then get 15 points less than that. So 40 points. So you can't just show up to a few events and win or do well and take team.
The team. That's going to be a really good, that's going to be a hell of a party too. I'm sure you're going to throw a party.
Yeah, yeah.
But you might want to need to get an MC. I just got hired last night.
Yeah,
I'm going to do the FLA MCing of that, which I'm really looking forward to. I think it's going to be cool.
Now, did you decide you're going to have if you're putting on 12 tournaments?
I think it's
you're going to count certain number.
Yeah, so only 8 of them will count,
nice.
Right?
Yep.
And that way you don't have to fish all of them, obviously, right? So that's a huge, great point that you made. You don't have to fish them all, and nobody can make, including myself. Can't make every single one of them. But putting out the schedule so everybody has time in advance now, and they know when they are, and then we're going to make make our call on the weather, because that's a big thing too, especially as we get into summer and watching the weather. We're going to make our calls early. I believe we decided on like 1 o'clock or something. We're going to make a call. And so we may still, if, let's say it looks like it's, it's too nasty or potentially too bad to be able to fish, we'll make a call at 1 o'clock. And then after that, we may still show up and fish, but it won't be for points.
Okay.
Right. So we'll just have to get there and show up, and the guys that want to come fish will still fish, but it won't be for points.
I mean, one thing that's cool about it, and I think this is probably one of Scott's things way back in the day, is it's bringing more people into the game. And I know we had Damien in here, and he's like, I was dragging my shitty trailer down to the Wednesday nighters. Like, how cool is that? And that kind of put his toe in the water.
Look at the guests we've had in here every time I look at the top 10 leaderboard, and like, well, he was on.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's really cool. And we'll get to watch the Angler of the Year running that.
Yeah.
Because I know you guys do a good job with keeping everything up on your social media.
That means you're going to get a good result this weekend to keep it alive.
That's right. Yeah, you might. Yeah. I mean, shit. That's gonna be. It's the same. I mean, that's always some heavy hitters in those ones.
Yeah. There's a great mix, and I think that this now with this new structure with the trout and everything else, it's going to give a lot of those guys that maybe didn't want to show up to everyone or just did it here. Now it's going to be a really, really tight race. It's going to be. I don't know. We're going to have to really think about. We'll see how it goes, but with the trout, not being able to have that big one, it's going to be close. You might have 9-1, 9-2, 9-3, and
but it's still competition.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's fretting about this. I'm like, well, there was years when trout was keep remember?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
For months.
January, February. I think it was January and February they were closed.
When the regs have changed, you keep 2 reds and you keep 1, and then
you just gotta roll with it. I mean,
we're all fishing the same rules.
And it's 2 out of 3 format, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see the flounder coming to play,
Oh yeah.
And we had a good summer run last year, so someone might pop a 4-pound flounder.
The last time I won a Wednesday nighter was anchored by a good flounder.
Yeah.
I was not catching any trout right before, because it used to be the pattern was go get your red, and then right before dark you'll get a trout. That's not going to fly this year.
Right.
You're going to have to.
Yeah, you're going to mix it up a little bit.
And you don't have a ton of time to go and grind and search for a flounder.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that one that comes in here or there, but it's going to make it tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're excited. I'm fun. It's good, and I don't know where it goes from here. We maybe
We'll just take it 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? That's if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So adding these little bit of dressings to it and all that, just keep it where always stay grounded. I mean, that's kind of like with the tournament. Always like it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
You don't let anybody come in and start talking shit and all that. Just get out. Here's your money. Hit the road. I always had that thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you about this. Is the way the rules are. We're not changing nothing.
Right.
If you don't want to fish, here's your money and go.
Yeah.
And don't come back. So keep it simple.
Well, like the idea would be to expand it to a Saturday thing.
Yeah.
And make it big. I think there's definitely, we've talked about it before. I think there's
calling for it. Yeah, you could easily do it at the Palms. They'd let you rip it.
4 or 6 tournament series.
Yep.
With like a real entry fee.
Well, there's people that are hungry for competition.
Because I had an idea, years ago that me and Chuck hatched, but that was back when there was lots of terms of like, let's have kind of like a money tour, like the PGA Tour, and let's count Flounder Pounder. Yeah. And Creek Wars and the Redfish tournament. And definitely you could count like many different things, or
you have to fish all 3 to be eligible to, win the points and stuff.
We were even spitballing, when now some of them gone, but, that, we would have, a team of the year race, and you would fish, these tournaments, but also the Flounder Pounder, the Trout tournament.
Right.
And you didn't have to win that tournament because only the people that were members of that race
club,
that club, right?
You buy into
you buy into that. So you may have placed 10th or 11th in that tournament, but you were one out of the club, right? And so you got the points, and so we've played around with spitballs, several different ideas,
but it's hard because people are dropping out and there just aren't as many. There's a lot of tournaments, but there's not as many big ones.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's a lot of work, man.
It is. Yeah. And not pointing the finger at you, but I'm just saying.
No. I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying being a tournament director and to keep it going. You see it just on the Wednesdays.
Even just doing this is, I've spent so much time.
It takes a lot of time and just running around and, but we'll keep, I guarantee that person's going to be packed. Bob, you got anything left on that big one? We're getting close.
I would want to know.
We'll finish this one up here. Get Chris on the spot.
Well, we kind of hit the end of it. Is like I was just looking at, what took it to the next level. But I think you answered the question. Is just consistency, somebody being in charge full time, and I think the social media aspect. I think the live feed to me
is big time.
And I look at and you touched on it earlier. I think what we're going to look at is in the future. I think this go live type format is going to be the solution to a lot of
conservation that would love it because you're not removing the fish and
and how many views are you if you're trying to build your personal brand or the brand of the series? I mean, Kent, I don't know how many thousands and thousands.
I just kept seeing Bob rolling her back with another 8-pounder every time.
Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because I we love that because it's
like the format.
Easy. But I mean, that's what I was saying at the meeting at the club last night. I'm like, why would the FLA not? Maybe let's, have a trout tournament that's going to be a live format.
Yeah, why not?
And it wouldn't have to be a points tournament for the club, but just an extra.
Well, you need to try it. It's not that hard. It'd be one of those things you can keep up with.
I think it's a great format and it's awesome. They're and I always have this, why is bass fishing tournament, why has it grown so much and why is it so big comparatively to the inshore stuff, and I guess it's because there's a lot more lakes and ponds and rivers and stuff throughout the entire country and it's been around forever. And this
because they can bass fish everywhere in the United States
and whatever, but and it just seems like there's the want for it and there's so many more people doing it now that that's a great way to take it there, and it's just the production and the people behind it. You got to have the people that have I guess passionate about it. It's just like with the Wednesday Niner, I'm not trying to, turn this into I've got my business and my thing, whatever. I'm only doing
just
this
for fun.
Just doing this for fun because I enjoyed fishing it, and so I spent some time and and worked on it.
Well, and you guys are good at it too. So I mean, it's not like you're struggling. I mean, you guys get in there, you weigh them and all that.
It was like, when I was going through chemo, and that was right when MLF launched. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever, because it was really exciting to watch on TV. And it's like every fish is caught and released and everything counts. And you can really go so many different ways with it. I'm
so many more people can be involved in it.
Yeah. Got me through plenty of days where I was trying to kill time.
That is a cool format.
Yeah. And I think, that's kind of what I saw. That was maybe something I'm going to maybe get with you or Chip or some of these guys. I think it's something we can explore, because I think between Chris and Kent, who already have the platform, I'm sure they would be glad for a small fee to bring us
expand it to us and let us check it out. Yeah. That'd be something cool. Yeah. Because you don't have to have a weigh-in.
Because you've already,
that eliminates.
Well, what does everybody want now anyway? They want social media.
Yeah, you're going to get it right there.
That's it.
Because I know every night I'm not at the Wednesday nighter, I turn that sucker on and watch it.
Yeah, I watch
Who's got the big one, know?
Everybody now can,
So you want the notoriety for it. And that's why we started doing the live feed. And then I've tried to, trying to work into, interviewing the top team and listening to what they said and however.
Oh, you're doing the best job ever. I mean, since the very beginning, nobody's done it as well as you.
No, you guys run it. Like I said, I had the honor to come out there and check it all out. I was like, damn, man, these guys run a tight ship. But
I mean, Scott was good because Scott wasn't fishing. Right. So he was just waiting at the ramp,
Well, these guys still get the opportunity to fish. Right. I think it's pretty admirable if you can get there, get the money, and get your ass on the boat and go.
And having the set venue to me is key. Yeah. Because you probably keep your shit there. Or,
no,
you don't. They don't get
it's a lot. We gotta wrap it up and bring it and make sure everything's charged.
I watched them, dude. They
ought to train somebody as much money as you're giving them.
Yeah, we have.
Because I always go there and get a couple of cold drinks.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah,
as long as the no CMs ain't around. Yeah, God bless those things, dude. But
yeah, it would definitely be nice to have it's hard, I mean, I gotta get everything ready, get the whole thing, remember to, make a post, to do the thing, and get there, get everything, make sure it's all dialed so that when we can get out there, get everybody signed up, get in the boat, check all the boats, get out, go do it. And we've got to come back early. So because people are there waiting with their bags. So we got to be there, get everything set up, make sure it's all good to go, do the deal, get done with it all, try and relax for a minute, have a beer or whatever,
There's no such thing, man. You can't relax.
Well, maybe with that could be another thing, the trout reg changes. Maybe everybody's not going to be so hard pressed to let us fish right until the dark.
Right.
We maybe have to come in a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see, see how things go and adjust. And I'm not opposed to, listening or doing whatever. It's not like I feel like I own this thing or anything. I'm just here helping out because I love doing it and I wanted it to be a little bit better. And so
you've made it much better.
That's it. So at some point, so it'll have to be somebody else,
we've lost one.
You got another 5 minutes.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
Well, so now you can get into it. Get him out of there. What else you got on your mind?
Man, I don't know. I'm just right now. I'm my brain is on steam hatchy. Yeah. That's the next thing, and then getting ready to get this thing going here. And I'm really excited about this season. I think it's going to be a little nervous about it. It added a lot of stuff, to keep track of and do. But I think we got it pretty dialed. We've run some test runs, and such, and I'm just excited to get.
So tell me about that. The software you're bringing in. You've got an app or something.
Yeah. So I just found a tournament director app. I use ChatGPT, to help me dial that in and look at what the differences are. And I played with a few different ones and found one that was easy for our format, to do everything that we needed to do. And there's a few small things that we'll have to adjust for, but very small, and it won't be all the time. But it's just, I think that's going to make it a lot better and a lot easier for everyone to track and see where they are and how it's going and who's doing what, and it's cool. And it also, like the notoriety thing, everybody will get to see, that and get that. And
the results will be out.
Yeah, the results. The results will be instant.
That's cool. That's what I love about the FRS. It's like I'm sitting in the parking lot back in the boat. Hey, we were in fifth. Well, goddamn, now we're 19th. You just start dropping.
I know, and that's the hard thing is it's not my job. So it's I get done with the Wednesday nighter. It's like, and I know because I want it. It's just like you and everybody else. I want to see who did what instantly. So the live feed helps with that a lot. But if you didn't get to I got to
post the results. Post the results.
Yeah, when are you going to post the results? When are you going to post the results?
Why don't you come keep track of it and post it for us?
Man, it's
demanding people out there. It took me 16 years until Piper built me an Excel spreadsheet because the one we had was it was antiquated towards the end, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't hit a button and populate the top 10. And so Piper built the whole Excel spreadsheet, and she did a great job with it. And we were able to upload. Some people want to see where they fall. the way the program was, I'd have to go and pull everybody out, look stupid. She hit a button and bam, there's your top. If you've placed, you place. I'm like, God, it only took me 16 years to get it.
Yeah, well, now the technology, this FRS, I mean, Chris has done an awesome job. I mean, that's
love that guy.
the best thing that guy's
I'm
done.
going to go out there the next time you guys fish them because I'm not going to fish them, but I
What
want
are
to
you
go.
talking about? You're not, I thought you were coming.
Which one?
Wednesday nighters.
Oh, no, I'm talking about, I'm talking about that. Watching the FRS. I want to watch. I'd love to go out there and watch these guys because they got their own trailer and everything, and they got everything built in and all that.
But the app is the key.
Yeah.
And the other thing he does that I absolutely love is he does virtual captains meetings. So you don't have to go to a freaking captain's meeting.
Yeah, sometimes that just becomes a party for some people. It's like, what do we need to be here for? You know,
I mean, that's what I liked about you. You have it on Thursday night.
Yeah, well,
so Friday night when you're trying to get all your shit together.
I started that after the first Louder Powder Captain's meeting. I'm like, oh God, I got to get up. So I was like, we're going to go ahead and start doing them on Thursday nights, and then a lot of people followed that trip. Which I enjoy kind of like doing it because there was never Thursday nights back in the day. Yeah. Like Grady had that one down at the landing, and me and Mike were down there. We didn't get home till like 1 a.m. Like, Jesus, man, we got to fish tomorrow, dude. But anyhow, well, Bob, let's wrap this one up. Chris, dude, I love you, man.
Appreciate it.
Oh, got any last minute?
Yeah, got anything you want to say, or
tell us about real quick before we when's it starting? Give us the Wednesday night stuff.
Details.
Wednesday night tournaments on Facebook. First one is April 1st. The entire schedule is listed on there. All the updated rules, that's very important. We changed some things in there, so you need to take a look at that and read the rules. When you pull the page up, as you start to scroll down, the very first post that you see is the overview of what we do and how you do it. And make sure you read all of those rules. I've been DQ'd from these pro tournaments, not reading the rules and thinking, it's no big deal. You go catch a few fish. So it's very important to read that and understand it. But it's a tournament for everybody, whether you're in a John boat or what have you. And it's going to be.
What about kayaks?
Well, so we don't do kayaks, and it's not that we don't like kayak guys or we're opposed. It's a safety thing.
Yeah, and it's really in 3 hours time, man. I mean, unless they're like a jet. I mean, those guys can pedal pretty damn fast. No,
I get it.
It's not beneficial, man. You can't.
I don't want to knock anybody for that. It's just that you've got these guys flying in at dark. Yeah.
They do come up the hill quick, man. You see them
on the bridge right there, and you're coming, and somebody can't see you. And I do not want to be. I don't want to be that guy. So, we have some different things this year for, in relating to that, but, I think it's gonna be great. Super excited about it. Check it out and, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
So,
Chip, you seem tired, brother. It's been a long week for you, hasn't it?
I'm still trying. I mean, Piper just left this morning.
Okay, there you go.
Oh my God. So, it's I'm trying to get back into because I was off for 10 days. So I'm trying to build myself back into it. But yeah, I'm a little run down, but it's a good feeling. It's good to know it's behind me.
Yeah.
Now I look at the poster, it didn't, it was worth it, but yet it drained me physically. What, Bob?
Yeah, mentally. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get him off the hill and make him come on the first.
Good.
Yeah.
We can love it.
But right now on my schedule, because I got to switch. I'll see if I can switch with someone. But I usually work every Wednesday. Remember? Yeah. That's what I was telling you. But I just got to pick a day during the week.
Yeah,
I can get it flipped. I love being there. Plus, I want to finish with Bob, so he just picked me up.
Yeah. There's nothing like that feeling right before takeoff and a Wednesday night.
Oh, I know. You guys do a good job. But anyhow, so hopefully next week we're going to be dialing in another one of our guests, and we're going to thank Chris for sitting in with us and giving us the insight. And big shout out to your partner, Walt.
Yeah.
Walt, you guys are animals. It seems like y'all got a good gel there together. And then we'll get ready. We'll see you guys next week. We might do it Thursday. Probably do it Thursday. We'll talk to Andrew and see what his schedule is, and we'll try. We're working on Larry Minyard, Frank Gregg. We got some good ones coming.
Yeah, Frank's ready. He's just still recovering from his shoulder surgery.
I told you that's a hell of a surgery, man.
He thought it was going to be easy. He felt good the first day. I think it's kind of worn down since.
Well, that's when the block goes away, and then your nerve block's gone. But anyhow, guys, don't forget to go and like and subscribe. And we're trying to get up to 300 subscribers. I think we're like 278 or something. We're getting there. We've been enjoying it. Like I said, we'll get back on our fishing. Is a hot time of the year, is the spring, and then we'll see you next week. What do you think, Andrew?
I guess that's the answer.
Sweet.
And now that you heard the John Metro live, you have to go. We'll have to go listen to them play Psychedelic was Oz. They kicked ass. All right, guys. I'm Chip Davis. That's Bob Morris. We want to thank Chris Peterson for coming in, and
Thanks for having me.
I'll be rejuvenated next week.
Yeah.
We're out.